Well, 60 American Christian leaders signed a letter advising Trump to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. But a White House spokesperson told Reuters that at least for now, President Trump has decided to delay the move in order not to complicate the restart of Israeli-Palestinian negotiations. Here's a look at the situation and the history of the U.S. diplomatic presence in the Holy Land. It was a campaign promise candidate Donald Trump stated over and over.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
But President Trump won't fulfill that promise when he visits Israel. It's the latest chapter in America's long diplomatic history in the Holy Land. This is where the first U.S. consulate stood in 1844, just inside the walls of the old city near the Jaffa Gate. Now it's used as the Christian Information Center. In 1912, it moved just a few blocks away to a place called Prophet Street. Then it moved to this location where the U.S. representative to the Palestinian Authority now sits. This consulate reports directly to the State Department rather than the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv. About a 10-minute drive away stands a U.S. government building that provides consular services for U.S. citizens. All of this while the embassy sits in Tel Aviv. After the White House announcement not to move the embassy now, the question remains, will it ever relocate to Jerusalem?
We actually met with Senator John Kyl up on Capitol Hill one day, and we gauged that he was serious and that moving the embassy was an issue that he wanted to do on principle. It wasn't politics, it was principle, and he asked us to draft a bill.
More than 20 years ago, David Parsons of the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem, the ICEJ, helped draft the 1995 Jerusalem Embassy Act.
As the bill went through the sausage grinder of Congress, it changed. They added this presidential waiver authority, which it was intended to gut the bill. It said every 6 months the president can suspend this bill if he certifies it's in U.S. national security interests. It's fear that has kept us out.
For more than 20 years, successive presidents have signed that waiver, and the current one expires June 1st. In addition to national security, another reason given for invoking the waiver is that the U.S. is supposed to be an honest broker. How would you address the concern or criticism that some people would have? If you do this, you're going to undermine the quote-unquote peace process, and you'll be undermining this ability to have a negotiated deal.
I think that at least putting our embassy in West Jerusalem would actually strengthen the peace process. It would give Israel confidence that its ally America is behind it. And I think the longer that the nations wait to do this, the bigger and bigger the question of Jerusalem becomes.
Parsons says Jerusalem seems to be on a 50-year cycle of favor.
But when you look at, not only the last 50 years when the city was reunified in 1967, in 100 years ago when Allenby, the British general, marched into the city, liberated from the Ottoman Turks, just as the British government was committing to build a Jewish state here. Even 150 years ago, 1867, General Warren discovered the old city, the original city of David, south of the Temple Mount. And each of these things, every 50 years, something happening in Jerusalem to really free it and release it into its prophetic purposes.
Israeli leaders hope that one day it includes relocating the embassy.
Israel reunited Jerusalem 50 years ago in 1967, but the connection of the Jewish people to Jerusalem, spiritually, goes back 2,000 years. Our claim, our presence in Jerusalem has been here for decades. Jews have been streaming back to their ancient capital for years. And the movement of the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem is an American recognition of the special ties of Jerusalem to the Jewish people. It may be symbolic, but it goes to the core of the identity of Israel.
I think the U.S. moving the embassy to Jerusalem is the right thing to do. It's way overdue. And of course, it would be a blessing to the U.S.
In 1950, Israel declared Jerusalem as its capital. In 1967, it captured the Old City and the eastern part of Jerusalem. Then in 1980, Israel passed the Basic Law Jerusalem. that incorporated all of the land captured in 1967 as its capital. That's when most embassies left Jerusalem for Tel Aviv, and the ICEJ moved in.
To represent Christians from all over the world who want to stand in solidarity with Israel, help secure it, and help it reach its destiny, and also want to stand in solidarity with their claim and connection to Jerusalem.
And whether or not the U.S. Embassy eventually moves to Jerusalem, Parsons sees a glorious future for the city.
This is where that promised Son of David, the Messiah, will rule and reign over a world in peace and righteousness. And of course, we're Christians. We believe that's Jesus. But I think a house of prayer for all people, that exalted throne of the Messiah during the Messianic age, this is Israel's ultimate destiny.